Hvala svima koji verno prate naše emisije i žele da pomognu u radu naše produkcije. Možete nas podržati simboličnom donacijom ili kupovinom naših proizvoda na sajtu balkaninfo.rs.
Poštovani gledalci, vi gledate intervju produkcije Balkan Info. Ja sam Aleksandar Pavković, a naš današnji gost je čovek koga možda mlađe generacije znaju samo iz priče onih starijih koji su u ovoj zemlji proveli 90. godine kada se nije moglo ni ulaziti ni izlaziti iz zemlje, ali ono što se dešavalo u samoj državi je bilo više nego dovoljno da ne bude dosadno. Ovo je čovek koji je obeležio to vreme, a nije Srbin. Mi ćemo ga pitati ko je, šta je, odakle, pošto živi na relaciji Velika Britanija, Italija, a evo sada imamo veliko zadovoljstvo da sa njim razgovaramo u Beogradu. U pitanju je Đovani di Stefano, advokat, ja bih dodao i prefiks đavolji, advokat, i kum Željka Ražnatovića Arkana, inače i pripadnik srpske dobrovoljačke garde, dakle čovek koji obeleži jedno vreme u našoj istoriji i čovek koga ćemo danas predstaviti vama ovde direktno u našem studiju. Prošla emisija je snimljena online ako ste je pogledali. Tako da ćemo krenuti na ovaj razgovor i verujem da će vam biti interesantno. It's a pleasure to have you here, Đovani. I am so happy to see you face to face.
Thank you very much. Hvala lepo.
I said you belong to those 90s in our point of view because you've been absent for almost 2 decades from Serbia.
Since 1999, when the last bomb fell, and when I was aware that NATO would stop bombing Serbia, that is when I left to go to Brussels for His Excellency President Milošević, and there I spent some time in Brussels there as his special envoy.
Dakle, vi ste ovde došli negde u avgustu, septembru 1992. godine. If I'm not mistaken.
That is absolutely correct. I left America in the middle of August there after the MGM came to an end there in 1992. I came to Europe. Then I met my friend Bernie Kornfeld in his castle in the confines between France and Switzerland. He was one of the first billionaires of the world, but he had a kind of funny tract in a way that although he was a billionaire, Bernie, and a really, really nice man selling insurance policies and everything worldwide, he didn't like to pay his telephone bill. So he would falsify the calls. He would always complain that he never made that. Of course, it couldn't happen today because today is all digitalized. But then you could complain, and they found out. I mean, he's a billionaire that didn't want to pay like the equivalent of 50 euros bill on his telephone in his castle. You know, he hated paying. And let me tell you, is an interesting concept. When you make a telephone call by your provider from a mobile telephone, your voice goes through the air. So his concept and his ideology was, why am I paying for something that is free? Air is free, so why should I pay for my voice to be transmitted through the air? That was... And I went with him, and I met Misha Chulovic, who was accused of killing Olaf Palme, which is complete crap, total rubbish and nonsensical. And of course, my dear friend, the late Radojicom Nikčevićem. And they made some calls to, to Serbia, or as it was, Serbia and Montenegro. It was the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia then. Then it became Serbia, Montenegro. Now it's Serbia by itself there. Something I predicted, incidentally. I told Milošević that would happen one day. There would have to be a partition between Montenegro and Serbia. because obviously, Đukanović, the president had different ideology, as has been proved correct. So I came to Serbia as a guest of the government, and basically I stayed there ever since.
Da, vi ste ostali sve to vreme, to nekih 7 godina otprilike, ali zanima me kako ste došli na ideju, dakle, da uopšte dođete u Srbiju.
When we left Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, there was a debt of nearly $2 billion, which was a lot of money in those days. Nothing today, for that. We were quoted on the New York Stock Exchange. So Credit Lyonnais Bank Nederland got involved in a massive scandal of lending money to people like us without any securities or collateral. Not just us, to 21st Century, to Mario Casar, Andy Vayner at Coralco Pictures, which I now own, incidentally. Coralco is my company now there. So it was a massive scandal. I went to Switzerland before I went to Berners Castle at the Diplomat Hotel, and my friend was the owner of that hotel. And he said to me, Giovanni, he said, listen, he said, the other week we had people from Credit Lyonnais Bank Nederland and your name came up. I said, how? How did it come up? He said, these people are dangerous. They don't care about the money. They care about the scandal and what you might say if the French Parliamentary Commission call you. Well, the French Parliamentary Commission did call me, but I refused to go because there was no obligation. I'm not a French citizen. So, and in any case, we Italians have a code of conduct. We don't tell tales. We don't inform on people. There's an old saying, meno sai, meglio è. The less you know, the better you are. So that... And I thought to myself, and he said, listen, these people are capable of even killing you to stop you talking. I said, but I got fuck all to talk about. I got angry then. But then I thought about it. And whenever there is a potential threat, you always have to take it seriously. When you're in the business that I'm in, representing people who I represent, you need to remember that in those days, half the people in Serbia loved me and half hated me. That's 20 million people that hate you. That's a lot of people. Same in Iraq, the same in Libya. So you're looking at a situation, not the people who love you, but the people that hate you because you represent the voice of a person they don't like. But as I've always said, I am friends with some of my clients, but I don't necessarily, concede or believe in their beliefs. I'm not a member of the Communist Party. I made that clear to Milošević and to Mirjana, his wife, who was more communist than anyone I've ever known. That I will never, ever accept the Red Book. I will never accept communism. That's never going to be but I'll represent them. So the fact that you represent a murderer or a rapist doesn't make you one. Just means you represent them. So I thought, where the hell can I go? I started to panic a little because the French are dangerous. They've been known to kill people, especially during the Algerian wars. People don't know there were more than 2,000 dead bodies on the Seine, on the river there that floated, all killed by the state. People who were uncomfortable. So I felt uncomfortable, and I thought, And my assistant there, Jeffrey Wilkins, said, well, we can only go to one place, Joe. I said, where's that? He said, we need a war zone. I said, where the fuck's a war zone in Europe? And a war zone was in Serbia, caused by the Germans. So the ideology and the thought pattern was, if I go to a war zone, there are restrictions on who comes into that zone. So we will know who comes in and out. Now, you can't know everybody, but more or less we know who they are. And that's why we came to Serbia. That's why I accepted the invitation of the government. And we stayed at the Majestic Hotel in Spavači sob 508 for, a few months there, guest of the government, until I had my own apartment. First of all, I had a house in Tolstoyeva next to the president, number 31. But then when the bombing came, I was smart. I gave that to the Chinese ambassador to stop it being bombed. And that stopped Milosevic's house, because they were going to bomb Tolstoyeva. So by me giving it to the Chinese ambassador next door, which used to be the old German ambassador's house there, it was a smart move on my part, and it stopped that being bombed there. And then I moved to Jenek's apartment, you know, for a number of years. And again, during the bombing, everybody left. I was the only one there. Me and my friend Reverend Prechasny Page, who was a priest who'd lived during the Second World War. And the first thing he did, he got some Scotch sellotape and he put it on the windows. And I said, what the fuck? What are you doing? Because I've never been involved in a war before. I don't know what they're... He said, you stupid idiot, you. He said, if there's any bombs falling nearby, it's going to shatter the windows, and it won't be the bombs that kill you, it'll be the windows. So that stops it. And that is what happened. You know, I stood my ground. And again, what I did was that there was the Bel Paget, I forget the name of the brothers that used to own Bel Paget.
Karic.
The Karic, yeah. Yes, the Karic brothers, yeah. They were there in Jenix, and they left. And I, you know, gave 2 apartments to the Chinese embassy staff to make sure that Jenix was not bombed. But I made it clear that I'm a member of the European Union. I have an Italian passport. I have a Serbian passport too, but I'm an Italian citizen. If you bomb this place here, you're going to kill me. Now, that was a pretty stupid thing to do. And with hindsight, if I think back today, idiotsky. Veliki idiot, because these people don't give a damn about anybody. The NATO, the European Union, they don't care about me. They'll kill 100,000 people if they could get away with it. They just simply do not care. And I stood my ground. Was I frightened? Now, to the media, I've always said, nah, you know, I wasn't scared. I was shit scared. Every night, I would, you know, go open the windows of Jenix, the big, that, look up in the sky. I couldn't see any stars. They'd just disappeared. All I could hear was, ooh. And it was frightening. And there was, I remember one time I went out into Belgrade where the lights, you had to cover the lights of your car. So I had obviously members of the Srpska Dobrovoljska Garda that were protecting me, even though I don't really think I needed it. And we met a woman with a child, a Serbian woman, and a daughter who would have been in her 30s, you know, between 25 and 30, in the street, had nowhere to go. So I took them into, I haven't told anyone this, even my wife I haven't told. I took them into the car with me there, and I made them live at Jenix there for 1 month until the whole thing had, you know, was over there. I just couldn't see that. It was, you know, it's a small baby, I think 4 or 5 years of age. And we are still kept in touch. And that child, you know, I paid for his education. Didn't have to. And he's quite an important person now.
Baš lepa priča i hteo bih da se vratimo samo na to, dakle, vi ste zapravo došli zvanično u Srbiju na poziv tadašnjih vlasti.
I was invited by the federal republic.
Milan Panić was the prime minister.
Yes, but it wasn't. This came from Milošević. This was direct from Milošević via Vuković, who was the chief of RTS at the time. So we did a lot of filming with RTS, with Vesna Jugović, who was the journalist, with Duška i Jovane, you know, in Dugo. So we had, you know, quite a bit. And of course, we know with Radojicom, with Željka, you know, obviously Stanisic, and I was one of the 5 people that Milošević had in his private council that took advice from. And it was a great honor for me because I've never had experience in running a country before.
Kako ste vi zapravo došli do toga da upoznate Željka Ražnatovića Arkana?
Well, it was a coincidence that some years before he was in London working in a restaurant So I'd met him in the sense that I was a guest and he was someone working at a restaurant. But I remembered his face. And when I was at the Majestic Hotel having dinner there, he came with a lot of his guards there, walking along. And Radojicom said, "That's Arkan." I said, "Who the fuck's Arkan?" She said, just... And he turned, looked at me. I still remember today as if it was yesterday, 1992. He looked at me, I looked at him. He said, "I know you." And I thought, oh, fuck, wonder what he thinks. He said, "We met, I don't know where, London." He said, "We met in London there." And that's when our true friendship, he was my true friend. He protected me, I protected him. That it was a real, true friendship. In fact, his daughter, his Belgian daughter, and that told my son that of all the people that he met, he said, "Đovani was my real, true friend who never told me anything that I wanted to hear. I always told him what the situation was. I was not a yes man to anything." And that's why it was, very, very much, a very, very close proximity. We didn't always get on. We had arguments, massive differences of opinion. But he was my friend, and I was his friend. And when push comes to shove with the Serbians, you have to remember, they will fight between themselves, but when they are attacked, they will stand back to back like the Celts and fight. And that's what we did. I became his lawyer in The Hague, exposed a lot of corruption in The Hague, what was going on. And sadly, it's just a shame that he didn't heed my advice in trebling his guard when he went to the what was the Intercontinental, hotel. Now it's the Crown Plaza.
Šta ste znali o njemu? Da li su vam govorili da je on, da li ste videli da je on bio neka vrsta srpskog dona? Nešto poput onih filmova Kum.
He was a leader of a political party. He was a leader of the Srpska Dobrovoljska Garda, of which I am a general pravi linija. I haven't killed anyone yet in that, but I still am there. He did not behave in any kind of I represent some of the most dangerous people in the world, crime-wise. That's not Željko. Željko was he was a patriot of his country, member of parliament. Yes, he could be complicated if you owed him money without telling him, but then everybody can, so can I. We guard our patrimony, with our lives, because money is vulnerable. And if you try and steal my money, there could be a complication. Perhaps not on the same level as Željko or Charlie Richardson or the Cray brothers in the UK or the Gotti family. But it's a complication there. Other than that, we're the best people. Željko, you don't know how much good he did. He had a and this is something nobody knows. He would give money in a humanitarian fund. Now, where that money came from is irrelevant, but he would give a lot of money. He would pay for people's education. He would pay for their books. He would pay, for singing. He paid one for a singing lesson. I mean, footballers, he gave everybody a chance. In Obilić, we had about 1,000 football players registered because everybody had a chance. And he did good. Now, people will criticize me for that because they'll say he was a war criminal. I don't think so. Everybody's a war. Whenever there's a war, everybody's a war criminal if you follow the law per se. But war is about killing people. It's not about anything else. That's what the contents of war. War, you kill people and you take advantage. I am against violence, war. The Italian Constitution, Article 11, repudiates war and violence. I am an advocate of anti-war, anti-violence. But I'm in a world of violence. That's where I live in a world of war. In 3,000 years of the world history, there has only been 126 years of peace. Incredible. And what for? To take someone's land, to take someone's money, to take someone's life? Nah. And Željko was against that as well. But he had to protect the interests of the country, because the Srpska dobrovoljska garda are only summoned when the boundaries of that country are at risk. And that's what he did. And now that Boris Pelović is no longer with us, a fantastic man, you know, I love Boris and Željko, de jure, I am the commandant of the Srpska dobrovoljska, because I'm still, for the moment, touch wood, alive. And let me tell you, in the event that the boundaries of Serbia were at risk, I would not hesitate to press the button to convoke the Srpska dobrovoljska garda. I don't speak Serbian, but they all speak English. And I would not hesitate in bringing them into the fold if the borders were at risk. No other reason. It's only when the borders are at risk that you call the Srpska dobrovoljska garda.
Hteo bih da vas pitam isto za Svetlanu Ražnatović, odnosno tada Veličković, da li ste vi zapravo krivac za to što su se ona i Željko Ražnatović upoznali?
Well, I did, and we have to remember, I mean, I love Tetsa to pieces. I mean, I think she's a great woman there. Željko was madly and passionately in love with her. What the hell can you do? You cannot injunct the heart. You can stop the brain, you can punch someone and but the heart you cannot stop. There's nothing you can do about it. He was madly, passionately in love with her. She was his life and everything there. He had 2 wonderful children. I was one of the few men that he trusted with his wife, because we went abroad together with the football team in Atletico de Madrid, in Bayern Monaco, in IBS in Iceland. There we had a fantastic relationship. Of course, you know, Željko was married before with Natalia and he had children. But how can you stop someone falling in love? You know, in Italy it's called, you know, fulmine, you know, lightning strikes. You know, now, obviously you can try and do what you can to maintain. But one thing about Željko, he may have, you know, several children from different women, but everyone he loved, everyone he has kept, everyone he paid for, everyone he did more than what any other man that. I, as a lawyer, have done many divorce cases. Most men do not want to pay their wives. That is the sad thing about men there. Željko was not one of that. He was a brilliant father, and he was a brilliant husband as well. And he fell in love. So obviously, I said to him at first, "Are you really sure? Because you're breaking a marriage that is solid." He said, "Yes, I'm sure." He told Tope the same as well. That, you know, so for my part, who the hell am I to preach that? I'd been married before as well, you know, and you know there. So I could hardly preach to someone not to do something. You can't stop the heart, you know. You fall in love, and that's what it is. And she's a wonderful woman, a wonderful, wonderful woman. You know, she's from nothing. She came from nothing to be a megastar. Without Arkan, didn't need Arkan for that. In fact, Arkan was more a distraction, and she's a megastar. And I take my hat off to Tetsa Svetlana and her sister and her family, because I know them all.
Da, ona je bila velika zvezda i pre braka sa Željkom Ražnatovićem Arkanom, interesuje me takođe i da li su Arkan i Milošević bili bliski?
That I understood in Serbian, even though I don't speak it. They were friends in the sense that they were both looking for the same result. They were both patriots, but in different spheres. In many times I was the go-between Arkan and Milošević. When the Srpska dobrovoljska Guard was summoned to Peć during the NATO bombing, that I had to intervene to stop something that I didn't consider to be something that we should do there. And it's one of the rare times. But Željko agreed with me there for the wrong reason, but it doesn't matter. The result is that the Serbian Guard of Volunteers were summoned to Peć to do their job, and I pulled them back. I gave the Naređenje for them to come back. So there was nothing happened in Pech there, you know, there, but for the wrong reasons. At the end of the day, in a time of war, the first casualty is truth and the second is reason. So I did my best to minimize the damages that could be caused by the Garda. And it was the right thing to do there. It put me in a very dangerous position because Arkan could very easily, you know, have said, you know, that I'm against his policies, but he didn't. He's my friend, you see. He was a true friend will listen to a true friend. He will not be narcissistic and say, I'm always right. Because Arkan wasn't always right, and I certainly am never always right. But I have the capacity to say, izvini, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. What can I do to make amends? And the same with Arkan, to me. But, you know, we did our best in a very bad situation that was created by NATO, which incidentally, we proved it to be incorrect, because when I wrote to the European Commission, they paid the government $300 million. We have the letters and that, you know, they paid them mali pare for what they did. But it's signed. If you've done nothing wrong, you do that. So I'm not paying you nothing. Nada, nishta. You know, yebi that. But they didn't. They paid over 300 million. Now, what happened to that money, I don't know. But they certainly paid it.
Gde su bili ta viđenja Miloševića I Arkana?
Well, sometimes it would be in the White House. There, sometimes Milošević did come twice to Štab, to Ludica Bogdana number 3. That he did come there, and the hotel, the one that's been sold, Hotel Yugoslavia. That also was used for for different meetings. I know the Majestic Hotel, and again, not many people know this. Franco Tudjman and Ali Izetbegović did come to Belgrade, and we were there in the Majestic Hotel. That now you say, well, see, people don't understand what went on. People think that Tudjman, Ali, and Slobo were all enemies. No, it's not the case. They got themselves, what happened is that they got themselves into a serious situation and couldn't pull back.
Zbog čega danas se svi iz SPS-a ograđuju od Arkana I govore da Milošević I Arkan ne samo da nisu bili prijatelji, nego se nikada nisu ni videli.
Friends is another story. You never asked me whether they were friends. You asked me if they ever met, and the answer is yes. I was present as well there. But friends is another story. Remember, Željko and me were westernized. Milošević was a red. He was a communist. There, it's impossible to be, to be friends with that kind of political ideology in a political world at the time. Today, it's possible because there's no war, so you can be in parliament, Communist Party, Socialist Party, Radical Party. That's possible, but not during time of war. Time of war is a different situation there. So friends, they were certainly not, but there was a mutual respect for both. Both had a job to do, and it was respected. And whoever said that they never met is rubbish. But friends, another story.
Da li je Arkan pravio nekakve dogovore sa Haškim tribunalom I mnogi pominju da je zato stradao?
No chance, absolutely zero chance, because I was his lawyer, me and Dusan Lekovic, and that if that had happened, it would have had to come through me, and it never came through me. Željko was no traitor. He was one of the bravest men that I know there. Why he was killed, that's a matter of speculation there. But all I can say is that it may be more personal than political. That's all I can say on that matter there. And God rest his soul, he was a fantastic. I mean, every time I come to Belgrade, I go to the cemetery, and I visit the commandant, because I don't think many people understand how close friends we were there. It's a very, very true, close friendship. And it's an unusual one that people would say, what the hell has this Italian boy got with this, big... Željko even met my mother, Nonna Carmela. He taught my son how to take money, put it into his underpants and take it through customs in Europe, when he was taking like 20, 30,000 German marks and everything there. He met all of my children. A true friend. Not many people can say that. People can say he was my friend, but why was I president, vice president of his club? Why did he trust me? I was the only man he trusted with the most beautiful woman in Serbia. There. That's true friendship. He didn't trust the other Serbian men with Teta. I was the person that when we went to Madrid, when we went to Munich, I was the one that was responsible for her. And she's a wonderful woman, She was madly in love with him as well. Probably still is. Because love is not something that you fall out of just because someone's no longer there. It stays with you. It stays in your soul.
Zašto je onda Arkan ubijen?
Well, as I say, I think that's more personal than political. And that's all that I really can say on that there. I know that whoever did that, because it certainly wasn't those three idiots. They may have been the ones to pull the trigger, but those three fools, just look at, for the viewers there, pull them up and look at their faces and tell me they're the people that can kill. One of them is still God knows where. The other two, who that, all sorts of political deals have been done. But...
Jedan je ubijen.
Well, yeah, but just look at their faces. You have to look at their faces and say, are these the people that by themselves, without anyone, killed Željka Ražnatović, Commandant Arkan? It's just not credible there. But again, I remember a conversation with Željka. I said to him, please, double, treble, quadruple your guard. Don't go anywhere. And he never listened to me. He said, Giovanni, who's going to kill me? I said, I don't know, Željko. I said, but we live in dangerous times. Please, I beg you. I was in Italy. Quadruple your... I remember the phone call today as if it was yesterday, from Via Jacopo da Ponte, my house there in my desk. Quadruple, do your guard. And think of this. If I'm going to kill you now, right this minute now, I need to kill 1 and 2 as well. I need to kill everybody there to make sure that they don't see me. Yet only he was killed. Lydia, Teta, okay, there was a gut that... But you need to kill everyone, and that could have been done. A professional person, a person doing the job correctly. I've defended over 100 murder cases. So there isn't any way that I don't know how to kill someone. Not that I want to, but I know that in methodology. And that is not, to leave someone next to him alive is not the art of someone that is a professional. So a professional is hired by professionals, by politicians. Amateurs are hired by amateurs. And that's what I say on it, for those reasons.
Milošević je u svom poslednjem intervju, dok je bio na slobodi, rekao da 5. oktobra ne bi bilo da je Arkan bio živ.
That is correct. Or if I'd been there, that's impossible. I would never have let those fools surrender him to The Hague. That was the biggest mistake that Serbia made. However, having said that, it was necessary for that to occur, for this country to move ahead. Now, the difference between Libya, Iraq and Serbia, you would think that the moment Milošević is handed over, Serbia would fall into the same situation as Iraq and Libya. In other words, collapse. No. What happened is slowly, they redeveloped their position. They got that, and now it's the booming country that you have. You have a fantastic country. This is what I predicted. I predicted this. And I'm only sorry that Radojicom is not alive to see it, that Željko is not alive to see what a joy this country has become. It's one of the most important countries in this part of the hemisphere. it's friends with America, and it's friends with Russia, and it's friends with China. Welcome back, Marshal Tito. Welcome back. Because that was his policy. Soon, when Serbia enters the European Union, the Kosovo problem will be finished, because under the European Union regulations, there are no borders. So there's no contest on Kosovo. Kosovo can be Kosovo, it doesn't really matter there. I would also welcome in, I've spoken to my Prime Minister, my political party welcomes in Turkey as well. Albania. Once you let those countries into Europe, you have a massive hemisphere. You will have half the world under your control there, basically. And there'll be no troubles with the borders, because you cannot enter Europe unless your borders are guaranteed. And that's why I know that very soon, all the energy is on Serbia coming into the European Union, so is Kosovo, and so is Albania. And once that happens, welcome Marshal Tito. What did he do with his republics? He created republics, some autonomous regions. Why shouldn't Kosovo be autonomous? There was part of Vojvodina that's autonomous anyway. Parts of the old Federal Republic of Yugoslavia were autonomous. So there's no reason why. But it doesn't need to be autonomous. It's in the European Union. You can go from one place and peace will occur, as has happened with Croatia, Slovenia, who were the first ones to enter. Bosnia will be next. All you have to do is to get yourself ready for that. Now, one of the few criticisms that I make on the current government is the question of the banking facilities. They still have control of the banking facilities. So if I send you €3,000, you have to explain to your bank why I sent it to you. That's all bollocks. That's all crap. That doesn't happen in the European Union because they are members of SEPA. The moment this country becomes members of SEPA, you freed your business completely. You have the best country, probably one of the top countries in the world, and you could be a Maxi Monaco or San Marino there. And I think that Vučić, I know he's controversial, I know he doesn't wear a tie, but neither have I today there. I know many things, but I think he's the right person to be able to lead this country into the next phase. But one thing he has to consider, he must not make the mistake of Marshal Tito. Marshal Tito was a great person. He made this country great. But he didn't think what happens after him. So that's something that President Aleksandar Vučić needs to consider. What are we going to do after me? Because he can't live forever, can't rule forever, can't be president forever. This is not a Putin situation, who incidentally, as you know, I represent the foreign ministry, the Russian foreign ministry, and we have things ongoing at the moment, even as we speak. I'm one of the few people to have a visa for Russia. Russia was denied Meloni and Tajani, my prime minister and foreign minister, denied them a visa and came to me, which didn't go down too well, let me tell you, in Rome. Why have you got a visa? Well, look what you've done to them. If you slap people in the faces that you expect them to give you entry to your home, you need to make. But now the Russian ambassador in Rome has said that we're going to try and bring Italy back into the fold. And that's my job and my task to do that there. Because I love peace. I hate war. I hate violence. Peace is so much better. It's like having a political orgasm when you have peace. Finalmente pace. Peace of mind.
Hteo bih da se vratimo na Srbiju, da vas pitam za Radojicu Nikčevića, zašto je taj čovek stradao? On je vodio tu stambenu zadrugu, počeli su da se grade stanovi u Beogradu i govori se da je on bio u nekim poslovima sa one strane zakona.
No. The problem with another one of my real friends, Radojica, was personal. You have to look into his personal life to find out why. Again, because they chose a moment to kill him when I wasn't next to him. I should have been next to him there. But that night, the night before he was murdered, I was at his house, with my consort there. We had dinner, we spoke and everything. We laughed, with Senya, with his wife. And then we went back to Jenik's hotel there. And he said, I come for you at 8 o'clock in the morning, Đovani. I said, well, if I'm awake. Well, obviously, when you have a beautiful girl in your bed, who is your wife there at 8 o'clock in the morning, the last thing you're thinking of is going to work, to the office. So when he called, I said, oh, leave it, I said, leave it, Radojicom, I will come later. He said, okay, but hurry up and come there. So to a certain extent, my consort saved my life. Because if we actually not been there, I would have gone with him, and they would have had then to kill both of us. They couldn't just leave. This was a very personal situation. He had a very interesting personal life, and sometimes you have to be careful of what you do in your personal life. The business is easy. People don't really kill you for your business because they want you alive. Stop and think logic. You owe me €1 million. Why should I kill you? I need you alive to pay it. But if you've had an affair, I'm just saying hypothetically now, just hypothetically, if you had an affair with my wife, that may not go unpunished. And that's all I need to say on this.
Da li je on bio, ajde kažemo, deo Miloševićevog aparata I da je trebalo samo smeniti?
No, it didn't have to be replaced. As I said, this was a personal thing that happened to him. That there was no provisions. I mean, he was friends with Stanislav. Vucilic was his best friend. We went to Monaco, all three of us together, to get the Grand Prix for Belgrade, which incidentally is still possible. Let me tell you that in the exclusive, that is still ongoing. We met, Bernie, Eccleston there, and Slavica, who is Serbian. And in 1993, Belgrade was going to be awarded a Grand Prix place there. Unfortunately, then things escalated a little bit, and Bernie couldn't. He's my good friend, Bernie Kornfeld. I've looked after his daughters when they were young, Tamara and that. Slavica still, that. It's still ongoing. That Belgrade is still up for the Grand Prix if it wants. And if they want to pursue that, they need to contact me.
Hteo bih da se osvrnemo i na, pošto ste sad pomenuli taj Grand Prix ostalo, ali koliko je bilo ovde tih unutrašnjih trvenja? Da li je možda Milošević u Arkanu video neku vrstu konkurencije zato što je ovaj ušao u politiku pa mu je uzimao glasove i da je možda zbog toga došao do konflikta?
Not at all there. Stranka Srpski jedinstva. I am the foreign affairs spokesman. I was there for that there. It's just another political party. I mean, even the Muslims had a political party at the time there. I mean, there was no that, but clearly the strongest party were the communists, basically. They could masquerade themselves as socialists and what they want, but at the end of the day, it's the red book. It's the Russian book that counts there. But that was never an issue. Stranka Srpski jedinstva, small party, my party. Fratelli d'Italia was a small party. For years, it had less than 4% of the vote. No one took it seriously. And look now. But it took years. It wasn't something that Milošević was afraid of. They had RTS. They had a massive public relations tool and animal at their disposal, which was RTS, and I was part of that. There, if you look at some of the interviews, many interviews that I did especially with Vesna Jugovic, there, it brought Serbia back onto the map, especially as I knew Clinton quite well. At MGM we backed the Democratic Party, so my first letter was to Clinton about the sanctions in January 1993, I remember that. He'd been elected, but he didn't take office until a few weeks later.
I šta je rekao Clinton?
Well, he was against the sanctions in the first place. I had a reply back from the State Department. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Warren Christopher, or if it was Madeleine Albright, or if it was one of the other lawyers, because they were all lawyers, basically, that we worked with at MGM there. So Clinton, the United States was against sanctions. In fact, they were there, but they rarely applied them. The strongest person that applied sanctions were the British, the Serbian-Montenegro Act, which was ridiculous. It didn't need to do that. Only because they wanted to steal Serbian money, because their banks were in trouble. NatWest was in trouble. If it was not for blocking the accounts of Serbians and that, they would have gone under probably. Douglas Hurd was a director of NatWest Bank. I met him on a number of occasions in the tower there. I know their game, you know, the only reason you block a person is you want to keep their money. Not for political, who gives a damn about politics? But I found a way around all of that there. So we did have fuel in, we did have cigarettes in, we did have medication in. And let me make crystal clear what we did not have in, me and Željka: drugs or arms. And you know why? It's a simple answer. Today, Belgrade is good for drugs. You can buy drugs in Belgrade. Why? Because people have money. If people don't have money, there's no product. There's no point bringing in, you know, tons of cocaine or heroin or marijuana if you can't pay for it, if you can't sell it. So that's why, you know, it was absolutely vitally important there. We didn't need any arms. You had Zastaba. We had an arms factory in Serbia. You didn't need any arms. You didn't need anything. So we did not get involved. And people who say that are liars, and they have to, you know, come and tell me to my face, because I was there present in the hierarchy of the 5 people that counted in this country, that ran this country.
Da li možete da nam kažete nešto, pošto ste pominjali banke, o Dafini Milanović i Jezdimiru Vasiljeviću? Da li je to bila državna pljačka pod pokroviteljstvom Miloševića?
Absolutely not true. These are 2 thieves, and I knew them as soon as I met Vasiljević, you know, who didn't have a proper suit. He had dirt on his shoes and that. And I thought, this is the Bank of Jugoskandik, wasn't it? That crap, yeah. And he said to me, Giovanni, you know, would you like to invest? I said, you know, I don't think so. I said, I will pass on. He said, but they're good opportunities. And I said, well, I welcome your opportunities, but they're not for me. My wife's family did put money into Dafina Bank and that there, because like everybody else, they believed in the media. You know, people of that generation. I'm a little more skeptical. But can I just tell you one thing for certain? We never lost any money with Dafina, nor did Arkan, and nor did my wife's family. And that we made sure of. Now, as far as the others, I don't know, but there was nothing to do with Milošević. Did not profit from either of those 2 banks' inevitable collapse. Where I think that they made a mistake is the Narodna Banka Yugoslavia, giving them a license for banking that. But then they would give out licenses to anyone at that time there, you know, Inex. I mean, there's loads of banks that fell there. And that's the mistake that Milošević, because at the end of the day, the president carries the can. He may not be responsible. It may be his Minister of Economics Affairs, or it may be the governor of the Narodna Bank. But the moment that Dragoslav Avramović came in, I was one of his councillors. All that stopped. All that stopped instantly. The moment we went 1-to-1, 1 dinar, 1 mark, that's the first thing. So the answer to your question is nothing to do with Milošević. That, I'm sorry to say to people who want to believe crap.
Radovan Karadžić i Ratko Mladić su takođe obeležili to vreme i njihovi i sukobi međusobni i sa Miloševićem. Vi ste ih poznavali.
Not just with Milošević, it was more with Arkan. Mladić, now this is what Željko told me. He said, look at this idiot. He said he leaves the troops behind, he leaves the tanks behind, he leaves arms behind because he has to pull his troops out and doesn't destroy them. He said, what idiot does that? And there were clashes between Željko and Ratko Mladic. Now, Karadzic, I want to make this appeal, use this program if you allow me. I am very happy and willing to make an application to the United Kingdom for Karadzic for a compassionate release. You know, I know his daughter has tried with different sources, but I'm probably the best bet, you know, there. I believe that Karadzic needs to die in his own country. He should not die in a prison, you know, in the Isle of Wight in the United Kingdom. And I am ready, willing and able, you know, to make that application on behalf of the family to Shabnam Mahmood, who is the Minister of Justice and who I know quite well, for his compassionate release. I am not prepared to do that for Mladic. I'm sorry to say.
U čemu je razlika?
Well, the difference is that one is a politician, the other one is a military, and the military person should know better when he's, you know, that there. I do feel for Ratko there as well, but I'm not prepared to make that application on compassionate release. I am prepared, ready, willing and able, even this afternoon, you know, to do that if I'm asked. So you can give my telephone number, please, to the daughter of Ratko, you know, Karadzic. I know he lived in Yuri Gagarina, where my wife has her, you know, her home as well there. So all that time he was there. And that's another mistake, to surrender him. But there it is, you know. You can't be... There's an old saying, Alexander, when you chase two rabbits, you catch neither.
Ima i priča da je Arkan, čak smo čuli to i ovde, da je Arkan bio u toliko velikom sukobu i netrpeljivosti sa Mladićem, jer je njega Mladić izbacio iz Republike Srpske, da se čak govori da Arkan ima veze sa smrću kćerke Mladića ovde u Beogradu.
No, that is not true. That is absolutely, you know, Arkan is not a killer. We don't kill civilians. That's, you know, he's not a gangster. People think that Željko was a gangster or a criminal. No, not at all. He was a businessman. Just mess with his money and you have a problem. But that, as I said before earlier, that applies to it applies to you even. If I touch your money, you know, you're not going to let me just come and steal it. But you're not going to kill me for nothing. You know, you're not completely insane. So that is not true. Absolutely 100% not true.
Da li ste bili na venčanju Arkana i Cece?
I paid for the wedding of Željko. I also paid for the haljina, the dress of that. And I'm proud to say that. You know, he's my friend. Why would I not pay for his wedding? He never even asked me. I volunteered. I offered. I said, I'll pay for it. I didn't quite understand how big it would be, but I paid for it willingly and with love.
Koliko je to bilo para?
Oh, I can't remember. It was, you know, it wasn't in the millions, unless you're looking at dinars. But, you know, it doesn't matter. It was done with affection, respect and love, you know, and good wishes.
I vaše venčanje isto bilo spektakl.
Well, yes, but I paid for that. That wasn't paid for by Željko. He gave a good gift. Remember, one of the most important things, you know, of my wedding in Italy was that for the first time, Yugoslav Airlines was allowed to fly from Belgrade to Rome. I got permission from the minister and from the prime minister at the time, you know.
Romano problem.
Yeah, we didn't always see eye to eye, but things I know about him and his family. Remember, his children were in London. He studied at the London School of Economics there, so his English was perfect. But I know a lot about him, a lot of silly things that he did with Annie when he was there. So shall we say that I earned the right for the sanctions to be suspended for that day, for the flights to bring people to Italy. And I'm proud of that. Very proud of that. There's nothing I will not do for my country. And my country is Italy and Serbia. I have a Serbian citizenship. And incidentally, if President Vučić is listening to this, I want my passport back because, you know, there's been some issues regarding my passport. I can't find my old one. We've moved, different that. They know that I am a Serbian citizenship, but they're now creating so many loopholes, the usual administrative nonsense. So if, Alexander, you're listening to this, make sure I get my passport back, please. We don't want to fall out over that, because I am a Serbian citizen and I'm a true citizen because I'm loyal to this country and to my country. And when there is a conflict of interest, I represent neither.
Ko je bio među svatovima na vašem venčanju u Italiji? Ko je sve došao iz Srbije da prisustvuje venčanju?
Well, there were some ministers, ministers. There was some family of some fairly important people. The Srpska Dobrovoljska Gard that came to protect me there. There was representatives from Željko as well that came. Obviously, he couldn't travel. They thought he was going to come, but I mean, that's just crazy. It was never going to happen. So we did have, at the same time, I think it was Stephanie of Monaco that married, but me and Mirjana made the front pages. So, and it was an important thing for me. A marriage is a contract, a legal contract, and it's a sign to the world that two people, are there together. Now, it doesn't have to be forever. As it happens, it's 30 years now that we, that we are. I'm not the best husband. I'm certainly not the best father, but I am, a good friend. I'm a loyal person. I do the very best I can. I have so many different interests. We have 5 children that it's very difficult to be able to apportion time to each one. So that's where sometimes that, but I openly admit I am not the best of husbands because I'm rarely present. And unless you have a strong woman with you, you are nothing. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world.
Da li ste, u svim tim, kažemo, godinama provedenim u Srbiji, razmišljali možda zašto se sve to dešava srpskom narodu?
Yes, but you can't live in the past. We have a fantastic future. This is Serbia, the future of Serbia. Look, no one's got any money, but the restaurants are full. You can't get a booking. The cafes are full. The theatres are full. The cinemas are full. Shops are full. Supermarkets have got all goods from all over the place and, can't bring enough for people to buy. Airlines, you can't book a ticket to flight. Must be great. The average wage is 600 euros. Mortgage rate here is 20% of people that have mortgages instead of 80% in Europe. That's going to change. And that will change when SEPA is introduced, when the banks really become banks instead of bankier, instead of, market traders. Banks need to become banks. They need to start lending money to people, need to stop being stupid. That's the most important thing that I would urge the governor, the lady governor, the Narodna Banka of Serbia. Start making the banks lend part of their capital to the average everyday person. It doesn't matter, whether you want a 3,000 euro credit, 10,000, 100,000. They have to be more amenable. They have to be able to come front to front with the people. Cards need to be issued. Credit cards need to be issued, not debit cards, because debit card you're using your own money. Anyone can do that. Don't need a bank for that there. Did you know you can even have your own credit card? Make your own brand. You can have Balkan Info credit card. Debit card. Credit card, no, because you're giving credit. So that's what needs to happen, and quick. No messing around. Schools. One of the things I found is that to get into a school now, it's all centralised at the Ministry of Education, which means that the directors of certain schools have no more say in what pupils they take. So, for example, a top gymnasium in Paris Comuna, which is one of the top gymnasia, has no longer any say in who they take. The ministry decides they're going to send you those people there. That has to stop. That has to change. That has to instantly. You need to give the headmasters, the directors of each school, the independence of choosing at least some of their own pupils to maintain the grade, to maintain the standards. These are important factors there. And remember, education is the most important thing in a country. If you have no education, do you want an idiot operating on you when you are 60 years of age for prostate cancer? Because the educational system, that's what's happened in England. England, the educational system is crap, rubbish. You ask any one pupil in England who is Ho Chi Minh, Chiang Kai-shek, Chow En-lai, Mao Zedong, they'll think it's a Chinese takeaway.
Jedan od ljudi koji su beležili ovde cijelo to vreme, a koga nismo pomenuli, je i Vojislav Šešelj. Da li ste njega poznavali?
Yes, we met him in very unusual circumstances when there were the elections going to Banja Luka. There was his, his car or his that, and there was ours from the Stranka Srpskih Jedinstva. We had a lady president there, and all I know is that they were talking, and then all of a sudden firearms came out, and I was in the front seat. I thought, fucking hell, here we go, here. And I said, to Bob, and I said to, to my guards there, I said, easy. But that day, everything could have changed. We could all be dead. Sheshel, me, people in the car, we could all, but it didn't happen. Thanks be to God. And then obviously I heard that he surrendered himself. Marko Loposhina called me, said, Sheshel's gone, and I thought, not a good idea. And again, he spent time for nothing. But he's, I admire him for his patriotism. I don't like his politics, but I admire him for his patriotism and for standing his ground. Because there comes a time in life when you have to stand your ground on bullies, and that's what, I've learnt in life. I stand my ground, not always with the right result. And yes, I do get scared at times, but at the end of the day, we are all in the hands of God. We do not decide our fate or our destiny. It's decided for us. It's written. As the song Imagine goes, it was written in the stars. So anything can happen at any time. And we just praise to God that the time we are on this earth, we make a difference.
Šešelj I Arkan se nisu baš mnogo voleli.
No, there was no love lost between them, but only because of the difference in the Radical Party. I know that Alexander Vučić was a member of the Radical Party there, but he was a different brand. He was the he'll like this one, he was the Tony Blair of the Labour Party. Tony Blair was no Labour at all. He was more conservative. Vučić is no radical at all. He's more conservative, he's more liberal, he's more advanced, He's a visionary, he knows what he wants. Yes, he's not liked by many people because he has to make difficult decisions. But this is a country that requires strong people. Saddam Hussein was strong. Gaddafi was strong. Without them, you need a strong leader. And Vučić, even though he doesn't wear a tie like me all the time, I take my hat off to Alex.
Pitao bih vas I oko Kolumbije I vašeg poznavanja Escobara.
Radojicom did not meet Pablo Escobar. I did. Pablo Escobar wanted to strike a deal in Europe where his family, his mother, his daughter, I'm trying to remember now, and his wife could go to a European Union country and be given asylum there. And in return, he would stop any drugs going into that country. That was the deal. Now, I approached a number of countries. I approached Douglas Hurd. I approached Emilio Colombo from Italy. I approached the Germans. All of them said, no, we can't do that. What a pity. How stupid. Because having no drugs into your country from someone like Pablo Escobar would have been a massive difference. So I asked myself the question, this drug business, who's actually running it? Is it the government or the criminals? Sometimes it's hard to distinguish because it's an industry. The criminal justice system relies upon the drug trade to be able to process. So you have lawyers, you have trials, you have judges, you have juries, you have buildings for those, you have prisons, you have prison officers. It's a domino chain effect. If you take away, for example, marijuana, make it an available drug as most countries, it declines the prison population, the criminal justice system. People start losing their jobs. Now imagine if you put cocaine and heroin into that. And it was only 100 years ago where it was legal anyway. No one said boo to a goose. People would go to the opium dens in London. You know, Rome certainly, Turin had the biggest opium den in Europe. You know, so what the hell is the problem there? Now, I am anti-drugs. I don't take, you know, I don't smoke, I don't drink, don't take drugs, don't gamble, and don't whore around, which leaves very few vices. And I'm still never at home.
Zauzeti ste. You've been busy a lot as a lawyer. Kako izgledao susret sa Escobarom?
Well, Escobar wasn't that tall a person. That, you know, his English was pretty damn good. His Italian was good as well. He spoke good Italian. Obviously, he's Spanish. I mean, I don't speak Spanish there. But it was, you know, it was in the offices of the Banco de Bogota. So he was somehow allowed to come out of his prison cell, attend, and it wasn't just for me. I mean, he attended meetings and then go back there. For me, it sounded like a very, very good deal there, you know. And at the end of the day, but remember, those were the years, 1993, when we didn't have such big immigration. We didn't have boat people coming into Italy. We didn't have people, a mass exodus of that. That hadn't started yet. The Balkan Wars hadn't really taken off properly, big time, you know. So I couldn't understand why any country wouldn't let 4 people in and the drug trade stop immediately. He would have stopped everything coming into Germany, into Italy, into France. None of them wanted to know me. They all thought that I was crazy, even putting that idea through. But with hindsight, I'm not the crazy one. It was a good idea. They should have let them in. They tried to get into one country. He told me they tried and they got sent back, which I thought was disgraceful. But c'est la vie.
Da li ste hteli da snimite neki film sa njim?
Well, it's not something I thought of at the time. I mean, there's been a number of... I mean, Netflix have done a series on him. There's been... I forget the name of the title. There, I know my children watch it there. That portrays... I remember, I only met him for 15, 20 minutes, if that. So I cannot give an evaluation. He was certainly not classed as a friend, although he must have been a friend because anyone meeting him rarely left alive. So he must have liked me.
Da li on tražio neku pomoć s vaše strane, obzirom da ste advokat?
Well, because I knew people. You know, he knew that, you know, that the sort of situation that I got involved in required connections. See, this world is all about connections. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know, unfortunately. I hope that when I'm no longer on this earth, that policy will change and that people can achieve what they want to achieve on their merits without being the son of the devil's advocate or Alexander Pavkovich. You know, we want to have people having equal opportunities, fairness, compliance. You know, I cannot overemphasize, I am anti-war. I'm involved with Netanyahu and with Hezbollah. Hezbollah I represented for a while, Hamas, Islamic Jihad. You know, these are people that, you know, I've given advice, the IRA, the UDF, PCC, Partito Combattente Comunista, the old Red Brigades. These are people that I've given, and my advice has always been this. If you want to achieve a political means and you kill people, you're killing a vote. I told the IRA that. Every person you kill, you have 1 vote less for Sinn Féin. They adopted my policy of not killing there. I went to see them at Portlaoise prison there. And look, who's in charge of Northern Ireland now? Sinn Féin. You start killing people, they're not going to vote for you. They're going to fucking hate you. They hate you for the rest of their lives because you've killed their brother, their son, their daughter, their uncle. They'll not vote for you, even if they believe in your policies. You need peace. You need stability. You need tranquility. You need transparency if you want to attain something in life. And this is what this president here has, regardless that he's controversial, that people don't like him. He is the right not everybody liked Marshal Tito secretly. Not everybody liked Saddam Hussein. Not everybody liked Gaddafi. But they were the right people for the right times there. And had they have continued in office, again, the mistake, Gaddafi never thought of who came afterwards. I would have, if I'd have been Gaddafi, I would have appointed my daughter, Aisha Gaddafi. She was a lawyer, brilliant and good looking as well, incidentally. There, I would not have appointed Saif or any of my children because they were completely nuts. But the daughter was smart. But in the Arab world, can you have a woman lead your country? And there lie the problem. Same with Saddam. Ragad was the natural heir. She's my good friend. I got an asylum in Jordan, the king of Jordan, they granted me, granted them asylum in Jordan, them and the family of Aziz, Tariq Aziz. So I did a lot of work behind the scenes, making sure that all the families of the people I represented were safe. That was the most important thing for me. And I use my connections, my royal connections, all that I have. And I'm not scared of using them for the right means even today. I have no problem calling Al Thani in Qatar. I have all their numbers, have access to all the people there. But those kinds of connections are to be used only in a benign form. I will not do that to advance my position. Even if I had no money and was broke, I would not do that. Because that would be a betrayal of trust.
Vi ste hteli zapravo da na drugi način koristite nosače aviona.
Well, why do you, the Russia-Ukraine situation, they are brothers at the end of the day. They have a common language, they have a common past. If I'm not mistaken, Stalin was from the Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken, there. They have disputes, they have disagreements. We should mind our own business in the same way that if you fight with your brother, why should I get involved and say, I support you? You mind your own business if you're a true friend. But no, what they want to do is to stimulate an interest. They want to stimulate war. They want to stimulate that for their own means. And that's something I cannot be party in. And I will say so to the end of my day. Even if I die today, I will continue to be anti-war. I've told Putin, I've told Sergei Lavrov, I've told that there is a way out of this, and I think it will work, and it's happening as we speak.
Hteo bi da vas pitam ovako lično, da li ste, gde srce naginje? Engleska ili Italija u vašem slučaju?
To England, I would never support the English. They have betrayed their cause. I feel sorry for the English people. I feel sorry for my two children that are there. They have betrayed the trust. Both governments, both the Conservative government and the Labour government, have betrayed the people there. And what that requires is something new. I don't know what it is, but my heart will never be there. My heart will always be in Belgrade and in Rome, jointly. I am a Serbian citizen, proud of it, and President Vučić, you better give me my passport back. But have it reissued, give an order, please. No messing around anymore with this, that. I've been to even Marshal Tito's old office, that building there. Nobody wants to make a decision. Well, now it's for the president. I want my passport back. Once you're given your passport, you can never lose it unless you revoke it. And I'm a Serbian citizen, I'm an Italian citizen, and I will fight for both countries.
Da li će vaša knjiga "Đavolji advokat" biti ovde u Srbiji, da kažemo, u nekoj vrsti prodaje, odnosno da li će biti prevedena na srpski?
Well, it's called The Balkan Years, yeah. So I've written that book about the Balkan years there. I know my son and Christina have translated that book there, so that will soon be available there. But it won't say anything more than what I've already said here. It may have a few more anecdotes, small little things that, make life interesting there. But The Devil's Advocate is a title that I carry, with my heart there. I'm honored to have that title there. It used to belong to Vergès, a French lawyer. I know that Dumas also had it for a while. Now that it comes to me, I hope that when I can pass it on, I pass it on to a suitable person that is not afraid of anything. And I am not afraid of anything. I will fight to the death on any cause that I believe in or I am instructed in. But I will not falsify evidence. I will not advance a policy that creates war or violence. That I'm not prepared to do. And that's from the devil's advocate there. So anyone who wants to instruct me worldwide has to be only for one reason, to settle a dispute peacefully.
I za kraj, da pomenemo muziku, većina ljudi uopšte ne zna da se vi bavite muzikom, da pevate i da li imate neke planove vezano za muziku?
Well, I mean, if anyone asks my profession, I don't say lawyer, I'm a musician. You know, my mother sent me to music school, so I wrote some hit records when I was very young. I was cheated out of them, you know, there. But I've done more than 200 recordings, professional recordings. I own the record label MGM, Pi Pathé Records, 3 of the biggest labels in the world. So that is my record company. You can listen to some of my music. You know, we can put up the link, or you can play a couple of things there. We also have artists who perform with us. We will sign any artist that we believe in there, you know, there. But one of the key things for me is that, like Cole Porter, like Mogul, like many of the others, like Burt Bacharach, yes, I'm a great arranger. I arrange music because obviously I studied music and I know music. I can play the guitar, the piano, you know, play the instruments there. But we always want to come in, you know, in front of the camera instead of behind. That's one of that. So I hope I've done some justice. And I did that for a reason. I didn't want any of my artists to think that I couldn't do it. I will not ask you to do something that I cannot do. Next week, I'm going to be sitting where you are interviewing someone. I hope that I can fulfill and do you proud there, because normally when I'm interviewing someone, it's in a courtroom and it's antagonistic. This will not be. But my music is my true love. And I earn money from it.
Siguran sam da ćete dobro odraditi taj posao voditelja. Hvala mnogo što ste bili naš gost. Bilo mi je zadovoljstvo da se vidimo konačno u ovom studiju i da se upoznamo. I'm sure you will do a great job in this studio as a host, and I'm so happy to see you and to talk to you today in our studio.
Thank you very much, Alexander. It's a great pleasure again. Thank you. I hope it's been enlightening for you, you know, the viewers and the listeners, and for you. Thank you.
Hvala i vama na pažnji. Vi ste gledali intervju produkcije Balkan Info. Prijatno.
Hvala svima koji verno prate naše emisije i žele da pomognu u radu naše produkcije. Možete nas podržati simboličnom donacijom ili kupovinom naših proizvoda na sajtu balkaninfo.rs.